All right, so this is good. So there's a relationship between consciousness and information processing. Information processing of a feedback loop. Okay, so it starts out like this. There's one little piece of awareness. It's like, well, hey, I'm awareness of the universe. Ba-boom. One little speck of awareness starts out like that. And then there's another little speck of awareness. And then they meet each other and they're like, hey, you're the universe too. And they both have a sense of awareness. And then eventually there's more specks of awareness and they create one higher awareness, all made up of their individual awarenesses. And then it creates a higher consciousness as it takes in what the universe is together and so it has more information to its feedback loop and creates a higher awareness, all within the little awarenesses within. So from there, the universe builds off of itself in terms of its awareness of what there is, and it creates higher and higher structures, all with an awareness of what there is and a feedback loop through the quantum levels. Like it goes, a feedback loop is the constant information to and from the singularity to the manifests like three-dimensional reality. So it goes, beyond a point of space and time to a point of space and time in a constant feedback loop. And so that's how the past is not only influencing the future, but the future influences the past. So, because through all this feedback loop system, it's just the time isn't there to have the same influence, so it just can go back and forth like that. You know what I'm saying? Okay? I don't either. Alright, yeah, I don't fully understand that. But where I am getting at here is how there's feedback loops of awareness up and, from the little atom is made of feedback loops of subatomic particles, which then organize themselves into an atom. And then that one atom, which is made of subatomic particles organized together, can then organize together to form a molecule. Now that molecule is one organization, and all these systems, the atom, the molecule, and then the certain levels of subatomic particles, have that feedback loop system to which they are constantly exchanging the information to and from space-time and beyond space-time in their centers. And then so an atom has that, and then a molecule has that, and then a cell has that, and then an organ perhaps, and then a body, an organism would have that constant one central feedback loop system. So all these things organized together based on this vibratory signal, this resonance they put out. When they're all vibrating together, they kind of sync up to create something. I think that's how it's working, okay? And so, here's where I'm going with this. Here's the profound part. So then we're all letting out a vibratory signal ourselves, okay? And what they found through the Heart Math Institute is that when we're in conscious states of love, we send out a loving vibratory signal. That's the most extreme. It's all on a spectrum. And we're in fear is the lowest vibratory signal. Okay, so it's all a spectrum of the type of vibratory signal we could put out. One, the love being the highest, a loving energy, or fearful. So, all right, let's get back to this creation of structures. So, there's atoms that make up molecules, molecules that make up cells, cells that make up organs, organs that make up organisms. It keeps going up and up and up of different feedback loop structures, making up a higher structure, right? So now does it stop at organism? Or do we create a higher structure, something grander? And then something that could lead to sort of collective consciousness of, a higher being that we create through, which has a higher feedback loop system. So we're like cells to that being. And perhaps it's just the earth itself, herself, a living being which has that feedback loop structure within it. Planets have that. suns have that, solar systems themselves, galaxies have that. They're all part of the fractal network of feedback loop systems. Okay? And so, because they have that, and we're all part of that. The Earth is part of the fractal feedback loop system of the solar system, and the solar system is part of the fractal feedback loop system of the galaxy, and we're, and each part is all a part of that, right? Its own system itself. The Earth is its own system. We are our own system, but we're all fractally embedded within the systems. Okay, so now back to the loving energy or the fearful energy that we put out. Okay, because we found that there's correlation between when things form higher systems and the vibratory signals they put out. And that's, it forms more coherence within the system. The coherence of it all vibrating and resonating together, okay? So basically, it's like the way your cells form your body is through a communication, and they're on that same level in order to communicate. They're communicating information, okay, because there's that feedback loop of information to and from space-time and out into the manifest form of that system. So that allows for the communication of all the information. That's how the cells know what to do. That because there's the communication of information to and from space-time, manifest form, and beyond space-time, the singularity, some higher dimensions. Well, maybe beyond all the dimensions. Okay, well, all right. So there's the communication pattern. That's what allows the systems to build and form higher systems, is more communication. So communication is information sharing to and from, this feedback loop, okay? Within every system, there's a feedback loop within that system itself. In order to be its own system, there has to have its own central feedback loop, its own, they call it, it's like a black hole in the middle of the system, which brings in all the information and brings it back out. That's what the feedback loop does. It's a constant black hole, white hole process, okay, of information processing. All right, I'm not going to lose you. Come back, all right? We're starting back over. We're going to go over this. I'm not going to keep repeating the words information, feedback, and consciousness and communication over again. But you see the structure of all these systems built off of other systems through the communication network, through the feedback loops. That's how they form higher systems. And why would it just stop at organisms? Could we form a higher system? Okay, and so how would that work? Through our communication, through our feedback loops. And the communication, fundamentally, when you look at other things, like look at the cells or the atoms or whatever it is, the way you see they were communicating is through their vibratory signals, okay? And how it syncs up, and the vibration, the frequencies of them, okay? And there's the correlation between, we found that we emit vibratory signals in relation to love, and a more loving energy, a more loving conscious energy was found by the Heart Math Institute to lead to more coherence, more information sharing. So now, here's the big point. So when it comes to the greater system that we could be feeding into the collective feedback loop of, if we put out a loving energy, we feed into that system more coherence, more consciousness, better feelings. Love is a better feeling than fear, right? And it's all about the feelings, isn't it? What else would the universe want other than feelings? What matters to the universe, to existence, other than feeling things? Feeling feelings. Right? What else is there? Because if the universe, if existence didn't feel it, did it exist? How would it know it existed if it didn't feel it? All right, but that's part of, that's, awareness. It's fundamental. The consciousness feedback loop is the fundamental process of creation. And so, the whole point is, are we feeding loving energy into the field, into the feedback loop, so we can get more loving energy back and create higher systems and maybe raise up to those higher systems ourselves and have more loving conscious energy feedback, better feelings? Do we not want better feelings? I sure do. I want to feel better. And so, is there some sort of thing going on where there's some sort of somebody trying to keep us in states of fear instead of love? Why? Do they have this understanding of the feedback loop communication structure and they don't want us to feed in that loving energy because they want to suppress that greater system that we are forming? Well, why would they want to do that? What do they get out of that? Well, I don't know. Does it matter? Only in that we don't buy into their shit. It's just, there's too much shit going on here that tries to keep you in the state of fear and not the state of love. That's what it's about, getting to that state of love to form that higher system as part of the collective feedback loop. Okay? So we need to realize that maybe there's something trying to keep us in fear, and removing that would help, because then we would all be in more states of love. So the goal is moving towards states of love, not obsess over why there is someone trying to bring us states of fear, because you let them win if they keep you in fear. So all we gotta do is send out that loving signal of love. That's all we gotta do, but in order to do that best, maybe we should remove the whatever the fuck they are trying to make us live in fear. Somewhere along the line, there's someone there. Where? Who's working for them? I don't know, but we should tell them to stop. All right, so you got it all. There's consciousness, loving energy, creating higher conscious systems all through the feedback loop system of the universe, this natural structure of this living conscious universe. Because, you know what? These people trying to keep us in states of fear have also tried to confuse you about the real processes of the universe. Yeah, so where our science has done a good job of interacting with this three-dimensional world and building structures of 3 dimensions, well, see, the problem isn't in science itself, it's in our philosophy. Reductive physicalism is the problem, and that is a philosophy upheld by many scientists, but there are many that don't hold that view at all. But for some reason, this is sort of the overarching paradigm of philosophy, as I was told as a philosophy student, and I was taught it in many classes, and that's why it means so much to me to directly refute reductive physicalism. And so, that's what we need to move away from. I'm not saying it is science. All what I talked about earlier, all this whole thing was about the science of it. That's what it is. It was the science of it. They found all the science of this. So, I'm not talking, I'm not saying science is bad. I'm saying the scientists that hold certain philosophical views are the ones that we need to move away from. But the point is to move away from that view, because that view is purposely taught to us so that we don't understand all this true science of our natures to keep us in those lower states of fear. That's why the religions were created that way, and that's why there's that decisive gap, and that's why they try to keep us divided, because when we're divided, we're not communicating well with each other, we're not in loving states, so they purposely divide us in these parties: Republican, Democrat, left wing, right wing, black, white, man, woman, all these different types of divisions. They exploit on us and try to keep us divided in fearful states. Because if we all communicate together, we create that higher system, you see. That's what it's about. They're all trying to suppress that higher system that we form through our communication. Just like it's a whole process of the universe, and we're just the process of the universe, man. We're not separate at all. So it's all the process. And that's what it's about, realizing that we're not separate, that we're all connected as part of this process of the universe. We're all living in this conscious ocean of being, and all that loving energy is out there, and there are greater states of consciousness for us to reach, for us to be, and it's all out there, and that's what it's all about, so that we can create a better world, because a better world is better states of consciousness for all loving states of consciousness. That would be a better world, wouldn't it? Where no one's living in fear. We're all just living in love and peace and harmony together. And that's what it's all about. And that's why this science is so important. That's why all this stuff is so important. That's why exposing the people that are trying to keep us in this fear-based states is important, so that we can reach the loving states. That's why people talk about this. That's the point.